from the Feel Good Mix, and today is a good day to get started with some pre-prepping for when we go back to school. And I want to bring you a little bit of a twist or a variation on the good old veggie, hidden veggie scroll. So the very first thing that I will do is, don't worry, I've got the recipe in my head. I'm going freestyle just to make it a little bit easier for myself and quicker. I'm using the basic bread recipe, basic bread roll recipe, and I'm starting out with 300 grams of water, and we're adding about 10 to 15 to 20 grams of yeast. To activate this, I'm going to give this 2 minutes on 37 degrees, speed 2. Once those 2 minutes are over, I will add some baker's flour, and your recipe will generally refer to 400 to 420 degrees. But in our country, in Australia, we have a pretty high humidity rate, so it's helped me a lot to add between 20 and 50 grams extra on the flour side. So we now have about 20 mils of oil to add and about a teaspoon worth of salt. You can do this with your scales, or you can just go freestyle like I did. Once that's done, give this 6 seconds on speed 6 before we go into kneading function. Pressing the dough. I'm going with 2 minutes, and see you in 2 minutes. This looks wonderful, and to get my dough out, I will either twist if need be, but it looks like my dough falls out really easily, which is what we like. This can now be filled with a little bit of water and go through the pre-clean mode, and we can then have your machine ready to make the filling. From this end here, I'm forming this into a bowl, and I'm gonna take a tiny little bowl that I place into a cup, or best to put it in a glass of water. Initially you will see that this sinks. So if you're wondering why I'm doing this, this is a really good helper for those people who need a bit of confidence in deciding when the dough is ready to be operated with. Once your dough has risen to the surface, you will be ready to continue on the recipe. So in the meantime, it's time to create the filling, and I have used the recipe, but only to get inspiration. I actually raided my fridge, and this is what I found. I have a handful of celery, 2 carrots, a zucchini, some spring onion, parsley, sage leaves, and some capsicum, as well as half a block of feta. And just to give it a little bit of body, I'm adding some oats, which is about 100 grams of oats. For protein, I'm adding sunflower seeds, and that's about 30 to 45 grams. And to get a little bit more flavors, you can use soy sauce, or I'm using sweet chili sauce today. So it's quite a bit of filling, and it'll taste nice at the end. This all will be whisked up for about maybe 15 seconds on speed 5. If this trick is a new one to you, well, you've learned something. Here it is. My little ball of dough has risen to the top. And you can see that my dough is actually quite nicely expandable and ready to be worked with. If you've got a thermomat, push the dough out to cover the entire thermomat, and you might want to push out the dough to have about a height of maybe 5 millimeters, just to make sure that your filling doesn't come out. And here is my little idea. You may turn this into scrolls, you may turn this into sausage rolls, but what I'm doing today is just for something different look wise. I'm using a rather large cup and I'm cutting out a circle, which you see here. And what I will do with this circle is I fill this up with some of my mix, which by the way smells pretty nice. Maybe a bit more than a teaspoon, a bit more than a tablespoon, depending on how big this is for you. Here's the camera. Hang on, there we go. And what I like doing here is turn this into a bit of a pocket. So I fold over and then I use a fork just to make it look pretty. Can we see this? And to finish this off, a little bit of egg wash so that this becomes nice and brown. And I'll see you shortly. I'm just going to finish the other ones. So here is one oven tray filled with these little pockets, and I have the other half ready prepared for you, where all I did was add the filling on top with a little bit of cheese. And if you've got a thermomat, then it makes it easy to get this started into a roll. I'm sure that this is not new to you. If you are entertaining people, or if you want to have less work for yourself at the time, what you can do is turn this into a wreath, a bit of oil, a bit of sesame seeds on top, and you'll be fine. What I'm doing here is using dental floss, or you can also use a fishing line to give it a quick cut. So you choose the thickness, but I'll go about 2 to 3 centimeters, and I have beautifully cut scrolls. This will soon be ready to go into the oven. So we have my little pockets here. And some scrolls with hidden veggies in here. Now all of this has cost me probably about $2–3 maximum, including all parts. That's the egg included, the dough, the veggies. Some of them are growing them in my garden, and I'm pretty happy. Hopefully this helps.